While in prison, I worked as a suicide companion. It was something that was close to my heart because at the age of 14, my brother had took his life. Suicide is real, and this video is about preventing suicide in prison. It's making people think before they make a forever decision, because your problem today might not be as serious as you think it is. Signs that a prisoner may be at risk of suicide include giving away valued possessions, speaking as if they are not going to be around much longer, even though they are not scheduled for release, withdrawing, becoming acutely intoxicated, having a recent history of severe addiction, being threatened or assaulted by other prisoners, having a history of psychiatric hospitalization or suicide attempts, talking about death, having recently been arrested for an offense punishable by a long sentence, or actually sentenced to a lengthy term, or having impulse control problems. Prisoners who have recently received bad news from home or are demonstrating an inability to adapt to the institutional environment may also be at higher risk. Objective tests such as the Black Depression Inventory are of limited usefulness because a malingerer may fake signs of being suicidal, while a prisoner who does not want to be stopped from committing suicide may hide signs of being suicidal. Prisoners with illnesses are at a higher risk of suicide. Prisoners with AIDS have a suicide rate between 16 and 36 times higher than that of the general population. In the United States, the suicide rate among prisoners is 4 times as high as among the general population. But it is unknown whether this is because of the prison environment or because persons with marked suicidal tendencies are more liable to be imprisoned for crime. The apparent motivations for prison suicide are most commonly fear of other inmates, of the consequences of one's crime or imprisonment, and the loss of a significant relationship. Suicides occur most commonly in isolation cells. The most common time for suicides to occur is in the early morning hours. Suicidal inmates are sometimes put on suicide watch. That's where I used to work, at the suicide watch. A study in New York found that 41% of prison suicides involved inmates who had recently received mental health services, although only 1/3 of prison suicides are found to have a psychiatric history, as opposed to 80 to 90% of suicides in the general community. Pretrial detainees tend to have higher rates of suicide than other inmates, with about 1/3 of all prison suicides occurring within the first week of custody. Custodial suicide is the leading cause of death among detainees housed in jails. Suicide is the leading cause of death in local jails. Did you know that? Accounting for over 1/3 of jail deaths in 2013. It is less frequent in prison settings, but still accounted for nearly 6% of the deaths of people in state custody in 2013. Although suicide rates in jail declined steadily from 129 deaths per 100,000 people in 1983 to 47 deaths per 100,000 in 2002. The rate of suicide increased by 12% between 2008 and 2013. And the suicide mortality rate is 3 times higher in jail populations than in either prison populations or in the community. There are also clear demographic trends in jail suicides. Men incarcerated in jail are 50% more likely to commit suicide than women, and incarcerated people who are white are far more likely to commit suicide than those who are black or Latino, 6 and 3 times more likely, respectively. Self-harm in correctional settings is a less well-understood phenomenon, but nonetheless, a serious health concern. Historically, research on its occurrence has been hindered by a lack of consistent terminology, as well as ambiguity in defining what constitutes self-harm or self-injury. Sometimes, you might think your problem is so big that you can't see past it. Many men have seen it this way. Many men have seen the glass half empty instead of half full. And in today's video, we're going to talk to a man that's seen the cup half empty instead of half full. And he decided on a fateful day that he didn't want to be here anymore. but I'll let you listen in while he tells the story. If you're struggling, there's help. Reach out. If you're struggling, email me, freedomfighterspc@gmail.com. Let's go. What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Blood on the Razor Wire TV, where we bring it to you real and we bring it to you raw. Hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, make sure you share the video, and make sure you leave a comment. I'll definitely respond, at least for the first day or two. Got a special guest on today, man, from, Mass. I don't want to say Boston because I don't want to piss the guy off, but I'll let him introduce himself and tell you who he is and where he's from. Jimmy, the mic's yours, brother.
Yeah, Chad, thanks for having me on, man. It's an honor to be on your show, first of all. So I'm Jimmy. I'm from not Boston, but Boston, Massachusetts is like 15 minutes away from my city. I'm originally from Lynn. I was born and raised in Lynn. They call it Sin City. Sure, many of you heard of it. I've been involved in my entire life in the system, and I saw I ran into Chad's channel, man, and Jesus, man, it was like heaven sent, because it literally plays a role in keeping me out of prison, man. So I hit him up, and guy's a great guy, good guy to have around. Seems like a nice person to have in your life if you're trying to do the right thing, man. And I just, we hit it off, man. So here we are.
Jimmy, it's not about me, man. It's about you, man. I know you spent a lot of your life in prison, and just to touch on a couple things, how old were you when you first went to prison?
Out here, prison is state prison, and then we got county jails. My first time I was actually in an adult county jail I believe like 17, right when I cracked the age. I went into a house correction. It was a wild house correction, but I didn't get my first state prison sentence until I was about, I believe, like 23, 24. I got 10 years, just about 10 years for a mass armed robbery. But I did many county sentences, anywhere from 30 days to 2.5 years to 2.5 years again. I just kept getting banged up, man. And eventually they just get sick of me, indicted me, and went to state prison.
So you did all your time in the state, never the feds, or no?
Never been in federal prison. No, never been in federal prison. I have a 9-year state prison sentence in Massachusetts, and I got a 6-year state prison sentence out here. But I never, thank God, I never made it up that way, man. Thank God.
So that Massachusetts system, it's not a cakewalk up there, is it?
It can get a little crazy in certain institutions. Yeah, I mean, you got Walpole. That was at one time in the 70s and 80s. I mean, of course, it's not as crazy now, but I believe if it was Googled, I think what the town of Walpole had the highest murder rate per capita, and that was because of the state prison. It would go under the Walpole deaths or murders, and it was rough. But now we got a state prison in Massachusetts. It's called Shirley Max. I haven't been there since 2000. I want to say 2000 and 2001, I believe. One of those years I was there. But I did most of my time, and I did a lot of time at Walpole. I did a lot of time at which is that's the maximum security. And I did a lot of time at Norfolk, Concord. They ship you around just like they do in the feds, but you stay in Massachusetts. So some places are rough, and some places, it's not easy time. It's never easy, but it's a little more relaxing.
I've been in the feds with a bunch of guys that been in them places. People like, Stevie Burke and Larry Costello and Ronnie Davola. I've heard about them places. Oh, yeah. All them dudes were over there. I think Anthony Shea was over there too. So,
oh yeah,
tell the people what those guys. Like go ahead.
Those guys were there. They're a little older than me, so they were there before my my venture up there. But they're well known. I mean, Anthony Burke's a well-known guy from Charlestown. Anthony Shea, Stevie Burke. I don't know Stevie personally. I've met Anthony. I've met some of their co-defendants. But yeah, those guys were up there when it was really rocking.
The movie The Town's loosely based on all them guys, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
You know which one was Anthony Shea in the movie?
I couldn't tell you. Honestly, I'd be lying if I told you. I watched the movie a few times because I love shit like that, but I couldn't tell you which one portrayed him. I couldn't, because I don't know the crew and what their roles played. I don't know which guy did what. So, but they were dangerous. They were a dangerous, group of people to run into if you were an armored car guard. They'd kill you in a second, and it's evident. But their lives are taken now. They're gone forever.
I think Anthony Shea just won something, man. His sentence got reduced to like 40 years, but he's still, the best years of his life are gone. He's been in prison over 20 years, right?
Jesus, what's he going to be? 80 years old when he gets out with? Come on.
Absolutely horrible, man. Disgusting. Let's talk a little bit about your experiences in that state prison, man. Was there any violence there? Did you ever have to be involved in any violence? Do the guys stick together? How does it go?
Yeah, I got in a couple good ones myself. One incident, I was just wrapping up my 10 years actually, and a guy got a little smart with his mouth, and we were in a dormitory setting. I think I had like maybe 7 months left on my 10 years, and I told the guy, don't fucking talk to me like that, and he said it again, and I was actually trying to like de-escalate the situation, and he just kept it going, and he actually swung at me. So I'm not tooting my own horn, but I absolutely wiped him down, man. They gave me I broke his eye socket, his nose. It just felt like his face crumbled under each punch. But I'll tell you what, man, they charged me with that in an outside court. It eventually got dismissed because I don't know how, but out of all the guys that were in the dorm, I had like 40 affidavits from people saying that he cornered me into the corner, and then I fought my way out. And the DA they ended up dismissing it eventually. But yeah, they gave me an outside case, and they referred me to the DDU unit, which is it's like the ADX, but it's the Massachusetts ADX. You know what I mean? That's where they can sentence you up to 10 years in the hole. So yeah, that's one of the good ones I was in. I seen a lot of dudes get pummeled so bad that, you've seen it. It's just, it's terrible. It's terrible. It can get gruesome. You can get the absolute shit beat out of you when the cops don't break it up there. They let you go until you're finished. A
lot of guys that are just fighting. They're not running around stabbing or cutting with razor blades or nothing like that.
You don't see a lot of fighting in the mediums. A lot of stabbings in the mediums, but there definitely used to be in Walpole, and there's definitely stuff like that going on up the Max. They call it Shirley Max. I've seen a couple guys on your channel mention Shirley Max. That's what they're talking about. Shirley Max is a prison. It's the maximum in Massachusetts. It's where they put all the worst. So yeah, they stab each other up there, absolutely, but nothing like you guys on the level that you guys had it in the USPs. Nothing even close. I'm hearing these stories, and I'm like, man. I'm not afraid of prison. I'll go to, I can go anywhere. But who would want to walk into some place like that, man? It's like, it must be frightening. Like, I'm reading your book and I'm like, oh man, this guy really lived through this shit. It's like a mental war zone, Jesus,
It's definitely not a place that, people want to be, man. I can tell you that. Some people used to think that the feds was this great place, and, it's nice, it's clean, you're eating steak, but it's a Thunderdome, bro, if you end up in the wrong place.
Yeah, right. From the stories you guys do, and from the stories, even the other guy there, Rob Rosso or whatever is the Rosso, his channel. Even the stories he tells are like, you can't make the shit up, But
he's a DWB guy over at Convict Inc. So people that are listening, man, check him out. He's over there at Convict Inc. and did over 25 years, dirty white boy, but he's got a good show. But listen, man, I want to talk more about your situation. So you end up in prison. You end up catching another bid, right? You get out. You catch a big one after the 9, right? Or you're facing a big one.
No, I was facing a big one. I finished the 9, and I was out for a little while, a couple years, and I turned around. I ended up in the falling into the exact same situation that I was in the first time, except for this time it was my second offense. So another armed robbery with another pistol. So I get to the county jail, and I'm like, you know, it just I felt like my life was over at that point, because if they gave me 10 on the first one, God knows what they're going to give me this time. So, yeah, I did. I went back, and
Yeah,
I thought it was going to get bad,
I
but it
want to
wasn't.
talk. I want to talk about that because sometimes dudes get out of prison. When you're in prison, you're thinking, "Damn, man, I want to get out, man." Were you thinking like, "I want to do the right thing. I got to stay on the right track"? Is that something you were thinking when you were in there doing all that time?
Um, when I did the first 10 years,
Talking about when you did your time and you're getting out of jail now, and you end up with another bid. But I want
yeah,
to talk about how you were feeling in jail. Like, I want to get out, man. I want to do something with my life. Is that kind of
okay.
the approach that you had?
Well, I'll be honest with you. The first 10 years, no, I didn't grow up. I didn't grow up. I didn't grow up. Every single day that I wanted to get back out and maybe change the way I rob something, or do things different. I'm going to stay away from these people because they might tell. I never worked on myself. You know what I mean? Like, I never. No, I honestly can say that I didn't. I didn't even care to change. It was when I went back, for the last 6 years and the break I got, that I was just like, the new people that are coming in there, these young kids, and the way they act, and the cops, and the smell, and the doors, and the keys, and the rules, and all the shit you don't think about when you're out here. You know, I used to see the cops coming in for work, and then leaving with their bag, and on their phones, and I'd say to myself, during the next 6 years that I got, why can't I just do that for 8 hours? You know what I mean? Why can't I just do that? Not be a cop, of course, but why can't I just work for 8 hours and go home to my family? It's really that simple. And I just something clicked in me this time, and I was just like, I got a decent break. I had a lawyer that was, he's a court appointed lawyer, but he was sent from heaven, man. This guy he was a blessing, and he looked like the little old man court appointed lawyer that doesn't fight fair and don't care. And he ended up, getting me a less sentence than I got on the first one. And right when I got the sentence, they started with the Massachusetts good time. They started giving you 15 days a month. First, it was 7.5. You couldn't barely get that. And then it was hard to get. And then they raised it to, I believe, 10, and then 12. And then it went from 10 to 15 days a month. So I started my sentence right when that started. So I said to myself, self, you can't keep doing this. You can't keep doing this. So I made a decision to change the way I thought and the way I did things. And I just got out, and I met I ended up with a girl that I've known for 30 years, my little sister's best friend, and we got together, and it's just my whole life's changed. I work every day, and I just changed my life, man. Because those places they're atrocious. The food sucks. There's nothing good about being in prison. Not one good thing. And if you
Jimmy,
they teach you in these programs to put all the pros and the cons on one side and decide what you want to do based on that. What do you have in the pros column of prison, in that column?
I want to ask you. I want to talk a
You
little
know?
bit about when you were feeling down. You're like, man, I'm hit, man. You ended up doing something in there, where you were like,
Yeah, yeah,
it's just.
yeah,
I'm going to
man.
talk about that
I
because
actually,
that's something that a
I
lot of people
actually,
face.
I'm not a suicidal person by any means. I've never harbored suicide thoughts. It's never even crossed my mind in all the shit situations I've ever been in my life. And when I came in off the street on this, when I got the new armed robbery charge, and was facing, God knows, it's up to life in Massachusetts. An armed robbery case, you can get any number of years, between 0 years and up to life, a life sentence. So I'm thinking they're gonna smash me, man. I gotta, you know, literally, probably a 25, 30 page record. So and there's a lot of violence on there, and I just thought I was gonna get smashed. So I'm smelling all these new smell, this this old prison smell that I haven't smelled in years because I've been out. I'm dealing with the keys. This guy's screaming in the cell next to me because I went right to the hole. That's where they put me, right in the hole when I came in, because I'm a problem when I come in. I hate coming in. So they bring me right to the hole, and I'm seeing this guy rip out, and this guy's yelling, and they're not shutting the fuck up, and thinking about my case. And and I just was like, you know what? Fuck this. I ain't doing this again. And I actually hung myself. And it was funny because I tried it at first, and just as I was about to go out, I realized that I wanted to send my sister, give my sister explain it to her. So I asked the cop for a pencil, and he kept going by my cell. Eventually, he gives me the pencil, and he looks at me. He goes, "You all right?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm all right." He goes, "Jimmy, you don't look right." And because I'm in and out of there, they know me. And he goes, "You sure?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he walked off, but he gave me a funny look. Soon as he chirped out, I got the shit ready that I made, and that was it, man. I woke up all of a sudden, and the fire department was there working on me. I had tubes in my throat. I had the mask on my face, and I'm trying to fight them off. And I was laying on the fucking floor outside my cell. And I looked up at them all, and they're like, "There's 100 of them there." And they're like, "James, you know what your name is? Do you know what your birthday is?" And I'm like, fucking, I couldn't remember nothing because I was out so long. It's scary. You don't even know your own birthday. Excuse me. So, I mean, it was that close, man. And the cop, because of that, he finished his round, and he said to himself, "I'm gonna go check on Tahine again." And he went back around and seen me fucking hanging, man, cut me down and dragged me out. Yeah. Yep.
You got a second chance at life, man. Things ended up working out in the
Literally.
case, so it really wasn't that bad. Um,
Literally, bro.
the one thing that I heard something the other day. What was it? It was don't make a forever decision for today's problems. You know what I mean?
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, man. It's so true, dude. I wouldn't call it a second chance, Chad. And I would call it fucking my last chance. You know what I mean? This is my last chance, dude. I'm 47 years old. There's no room for this anymore, for that life. That's why I'm in my work truck right now. Every day, when we try to set this up, where am I? I'm working, you know?
So the thing is like this,
So,
right, Jimmy? I talk about this all the time because a dude told me this isn't something I came up with, and I think it was brilliant. Where he said, he's got two different pairs of boots by the door. He's got his work boots there and his prison boots, and every
I
day
seen
he
that
has to
story.
decide
Yep.
which ones he wants to put on. And this
Yep.
morning you got up and put on your work boots, right?
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Chad, I got my state TV. The little, I don't know if you guys had them in the feds, but we got the little, in Massachusetts, we can buy the little flat screen see-through TVs. They're like this fucking big. You need a magnifying glass to see the thing, right? I got that on the side of my bed, all right? And I see that thing every fucking morning, and it reminds me, excuse my language, I'm sorry. Every morning I see that TV, and I it's that's stuck in my head, literally. And your show, man, serious. I was doing all right before the show, but there's so much that you guys, that this like blood on the razor wire. Family says and does that. It keeps me going throughout the day, bro. For real,
I'm
for
glad that
real.
it does, and I'm glad that it helps you. And I think, man, that the mission was to help kids from going down the wrong path through our stories and experiences, and letting them wake up and say,
Yep.
"Hey, look, this is what it is." Because in prison I had wrote a curriculum, an incarceration prevention class for kids. Wasn't able to put it together out here because of the COVID, but this was an opportunity. But now the show is also not just completing that mission, but helping dudes like yourself that got out, and it's a daily reminder of, man, I don't want to live like this. What decision do I want to make today? And if the show is doing that for people, then we're doing a good thing, man.
Then you're winning. You're winning. We're winning. Everybody's winning. But I mean, you know, I never had that when I was a kid. We didn't have YouTube. I didn't have that type of guidance, man. My mother never had shit. She was a crackhead for a couple years of my life. She ended up turning her life around, God bless her, and dying with a business and a couple houses to leave us. But I had to steal what I wanted. So I mean, I started early. I started at 11, and it just took off, man. and it was a wrap. So if these kids can get that message, man, and listen to guys like me and everybody you have in this channel telling you, no, you don't want to go there, dude. There ain't nothing fun about it, you know, then we're getting a W, even if one kid listens. You know what I mean?
You know, and Jimmy, like you said, a lot of kids grow up poor, and sometimes they feel like they don't have any other opportunities. And for real, like you just said, your mother was addicted to drugs. My father was as well. My father died getting high, but some kids are stuck in that vicious cycle right now where their parents are using drugs, selling the food stamps. They might not have no food. It's hard to tell a kid, hey, you don't have any food, but don't do the wrong thing. So some kids end up becoming a product of their environment, man. Do you agree?
Yeah, man. I absolutely agree with that, man. I absolutely agree with that. It's like they're in a catch. They dance 6 and 1/2 dozen the other, man. These kids, man. If they can just have the right guidance.
So, and that's the
Maybe.
other thing. It ain't just, it's about the parents, man. Maybe some parents watching this right now and they're drug addicted. That's why I tell people at night, man, go give your son a hug, man. Go read him a book. Tell him that you love him,
Yup.
man. Because it's about being real fathers, real men, and real leaders. Same thing with the women,
Right.
man. Being real women, real leaders. It ain't just about you no more.
Yup.
When you got kids, man, these are your priorities. This is what you got to take care of. And, recently, I had 2 twins, but in my situation, I didn't know if I was ready, man, to be a father. There was a point where I was like, damn, I thought I wanted to, and then it got real. But you know what, man? I wouldn't change it for anything in the world, man. My mindset has changed in the last 9
Oh
months.
yeah.
Where I'm like, they
Chad,
count
I don't
on
even
me.
know. I don't even know you when I know you're a different guy. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not gonna bullshit, man. I googled you and I was like, who is this guy, man? And you did, man. You spun it around, man. You got some god awful talent. I envy it, if that's the right word. Like,
Well, I got some faults too, man. None of us are perfect. You know what I
oh,
mean?
we all do. We all do, man. We all do. Even Boston guys.
I can't believe it.
Yeah.
So anyway, man, I want to talk a
But
little bit more about, what you touched on, because there are people out here struggling. I got a kid that hits me up on Facebook, man. He's struggling, man, where sometimes he feels like, dude, I don't even care anymore if I go to jail, if I live, if I die. But you were hanging somewhere in a cell, the cop cuts you down. Are you glad, man?
at first, if I showed you the report, because there's a report on it and everything, and probably 5 reports, but the couple I have, it says I woke up mad. It says I woke up mad, man. And it wasn't until maybe 3-4 months of coming, getting the drugs out of me and getting my health back that I became happy. And I was like, wow, man, that was close. And I found a guy 2 cells down from me hanging, and it doesn't look good, man. That's an ugly sight, man. And I was just like, wow, that might have been me. Like, I literally found him with another kid. We had his door open because my buddy was worried about him. He goes, hey, can you get the cop to crack the door? I want to check on so and so. And I was like, leave him alone. He's whatever. And I had the door cracked, man. I was standing in front of it, and it was just like bam. And it seemed like from those moments on, it's just something clicked in my head, and I just was like, I'm not a real religious person, but Jesus, thank whatever's up there for giving me this shot, And yeah, I was happy. In a nutshell, yeah.
So
Yeah,
maybe
I
you weren't
appreciate
happy.
it.
Maybe you weren't happy for the first 3 or 4 months, but today, I mean, you got a job, you're out of prison, you're making good money, you're driving a tow truck, you hooked up with your sister's best friend, so you're
Yeah.
happy today, right?
Hell yeah, man. I've never had so much in my life, man. I got a brand new truck. I pay for monthly every faithfully. I got a brand new Jetta. I got a beautiful wifey. I got just not even material things, but yeah, my life's just so much better. Even if it's lame, even if it's going to work and going home. And there was something about food on your thing on your channel the other day, and I was just like, man, it's a blessing to be out here, and I'm happy. Yeah, I'm doing really good, and I'm gonna keep doing it too. I'm not going back there.
You
Yeah,
just use the word, even if you're a lame, bro. Let me tell you something, man. Going to work, being free, taking care of your family. There's never anything lame about that. I'm gonna tell you who's
yeah,
lame,
that's
bro.
not lame. Yeah,
And some people might take this as a disrespect. Being in jail is lame, bro. Not being
yep,
able to be there to
yep,
provide for your son, or being able to take care of your mother when she's in her 60s or 70s. Those are the lames, bro. The dudes that make those decisions. Like me, I was a lame, bro. And you know what?
Absolutely.
I don't want to be a lame no more. And there's dudes watching this show. I want them to look in the mirror. There's chicks watching this show. And I want them to go look in the mirror today and say, man, I don't want to be a lame. And when they say that, that means I don't want to go to jail. Working a job, taking care of your family, man. Even if all you can do is order a pizza on Friday night and pay your cable bill, guess what? It's a whole lot better than being in there.
What do they say? Your best day in prison isn't as good as your worst day free. You know?
Hey, there's so much truth in that, you know, and I want people to think about that.
Yeah.
If they're thinking about doing what you did, right? I want them to think about that today, man. And I want them to think, I want you to be the example, man. The example is, hey, today I felt like everything was so bad that I didn't want to live no more, man. It took me forever to get a pencil. I wrote my sister, told her why I didn't want to live, hung myself. They saved me. And you know what? I'm glad that they did, because that day wasn't as bad as I thought it was.
Wow. Yeah, that's in a nutshell, man. That sums it up, man. Don't if you're watching and you have those thoughts, man, don't give it. Don't do it. Think about it. I guarantee you won't want to do it the next day or hours later. Just get help, man. Call the hotline, man. If you got to. I didn't have that where I was, but it gets real, man. That's real. That's it. That's final. End the game.
Let me tell you this, Jimmy, because suicide hits hard with me, right? And people that have read my book,
I know.
I've read bits and pieces of it. You know, my brother killed himself, but my brother wasn't the only person, man. My grandmother killed herself. One of my uncles, 2 or 3 of my father's cousins. There's a big article in the newspaper when I was born talking about, is this the family curse? So suicide does hit home, and it's not something that I've ever talked about on the channel, but because of your situation, you know, I'm revealing that. Most people know about my brother. My brother killed himself when, you know, he was when I was a young teenager.
Right.
It affected
me. I read the book. I saw that. Yep.
I definitely, you know, that's what I wanted the show to be about today. So when you were like, hey man, you know, I've done this amount of time and, you know, I'm listening. But when you talked about the suicide thing, that's when the thing went off for me. Like, I got to interview this dude, man, because there's people that are struggling, man, in the street, in prison. They're struggling. They're going through what you're going through. They might be laying in their cell right now. They might be watching this show and didn't turn their life around. They already committed a robbery and they get arrested tomorrow. And they're like, damn, man, they're laying in the cell, rubbing their head like, wow, what am I going to do, man? And they might start thinking about, man, I'm going to hang myself, man, or I'm going to slit my wrist. And then maybe the show will pop in their head and say, you know what? Let me see what happens, man. You know, Jimmy felt this way. Maybe it's not as bad as I think.
Yeah, that's what I hope for, man. That's what the cause should be. You know, and I didn't know that about the rest of your family, man, but I seen that in the book, and
it's a part of my life, man. But you know what?
Subject, man. I said it's a real shit subject, and it's hard to talk about, but it's real, man. People face it every day. You know,
people do face it every day, and you know, a lot of times people are like, they just, like we just said, man, they just feel like, man, this is the worst of the worst. And really, sometimes we convince ourselves of things that aren't always true. We convince ourselves that this is the worst of the worst. And guess what? 90% of the time, it's not as bad as we think it is, right?
Right.
You know, so now, like we said, man, you're out here living a good life, man. How long you been home?
I got out June 9th, 2020. So what's that? About 18 months? June, July, August.
About 19 months. You've been out just as long as me. We got out around the same time.
Yeah, I seen that when I first ran into your channel, man. I said, wow, this dude got out, you know, just right around the time I did, man. And you got so much going for you. But yeah, I've been out 19 months, man. I think I got out a couple weeks before you, actually, right?
I got out in the end of June. I was supposed to get out June 5th. I think I got out June 21st, maybe.
Yeah. In any event, yeah, it's been like 19 months. So yeah, this is the best 19 months I've ever had in my life, man.
So how's it feel to be free? Stretch your arms out, man. So yeah, it feels good, man. 19 months.
Right?
19 months is a long time, man. Like I talked to, I talked to James the other day, yesterday, and you know we talked about the statistics and how soon people go back to jail. So you've completed a milestone, bro. You're pushing forward, man.
Yeah. We're we're heading towards that, breaking through that barrier where they say the recidivism, you're less likely, the longer you're out, the less likely that you are to go back. So for me, I used to stay out maybe a couple years, but it was a rough couple years. This one's been healthy, sober, doing what I want. I just got back from Hawaii in October. My wife and I went to Hawaii. We're not married yet, but I call her my wife. She'll kill me if I don't on here. But anyways, so we just got back from Hawaii and we stopped in LA, and these are the things that I do today because I'm clean and I'm sober and I'm working and I have good people in my life. You know what I mean? So
You're living your best life. Let me ask you this,
yeah.
man, before we get ready to close, right? What is
Yep.
what was the one thing that you hated about prison, man?
And the one thing I hate about prison is having a cop have control of in certain situations when I go to the bathroom. That irks me more than anything. When you tell a cop you got to use the bathroom and they tell you, you got to wait. And not like out here, like you knock on a restroom door and, and there's someone in there. I don't like, it's one of my worst things I hate in the world is that. And next to that is hearing the keys jingle. Those are the worst things I hate. I mean, and then there's a plethora of a bunch of other shit. But I mean, if I had to single out two, maybe it sounds crazy, but those are the worst. That's what irks me, man. That's what I hear in my ear every day. It makes me not want to go back.
You know what you know what I used to hate the most, bro? And some people might be like, "What?" This is the one thing. I mean, there's plenty of things that I hated about prison, but I hated the noise, bro. When people were screaming, and people started to get more disrespectful now, like the younger generation.
Yep.
They kick their doors at night. They're yelling back and forth from cell to cell. I'm kind of old school, man. When they lock you in, it was time to go to bed, and people had respect.
Yep.
Not no more,
Yep.
man.
Yep. There was a time in Walpole State Prison in my state that it was you could get killed for flushing your toilet between certain hours in the night. But
I'm thinking New York, bro.
But it was a pleasure to be on here and talk to you, Chad. And thank you, man. Thank you. I'll keep watching, keep liking, keep sharing.
Before we go, man, I'm going to ask you that all-inclusive question, man. You've been through some stuff, bro. You've done a lot of time, bro, and you've done things that other people haven't done. And now you're free. You're living your best life. What message would you give to your younger self, or what message would you give to the guy that was laying in the cell that day that said, "Hey, CO, I need a pencil," and you're thinking, "I need to write my sister and tell her I'm going to kill myself," and explain to her why. What message would you give to that dude? We're going to forget. We love our mission with the kids and everything. But I want your mission to go to the guy that's laying in his cell, man. He might be laying in there next week, but watching this show.
I mean, I guess I would tell myself, maybe it sounds little, but there's problems in life and then there's real problems in life. And not many people have real problems that are that bad that you need to, end your life. So, I mean, my message is just keep swinging, man. Keep swinging and don't ever, feel like you can't accomplish it your way through the day, because you can, and you can do it the right, you can make it as gainful as possible, I guess. I don't know, man. You just gotta, don't ever quit. Can't quit.
The message, man. That's what the video's about, man. It's about prison and suicide today, man. So that's definitely a good message, that it's not as bad as you think it is, man. Give it a few days. You'll feel a little different. Don't give up. Keep fighting, man.
Right.
Keep your hands up. Keep swinging, man. The fight's not over.
Yep.
So, yeah, man, listen, I appreciate you coming on, sharing your experiences. I mean, that's a subject that a lot of people might be like, man, I'm not going to talk about. Yeah, this is what happened in my life, but I'm not talking about that publicly. So you might have helped save someone's life today, bro, and I appreciate you doing that, and I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah. Thank you, Chad. I like I said, it was a pleasure, man.
No doubt.
Thank you.
I'm going to tell people, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, share the video. Button. Someone definitely needs to see this video, man. With respect.
Yep.
Blood on the Razor Wire
Share,
TV.
like, share.
Until tomorrow, we're out.